Ufthak Blackhawk is one of the best orc miniatures made in years, and in this video I'm going to be painting him and show you how. This gorgeous sculpt is deviating from the normal trope over the last few years of using a tactical rock to make things more dynamic, and instead this guy's got his foot on top of a squig, which is more fun. This model was released to celebrate the release of Big Dakka, which is a new Black Library novel in which this particular orc, Ufthak Blackhawk, fights waves of Drukhari. As such, when designing the base, I decided to elevate our main orc a little bit and use a body of a fallen Drukhari model on the base just to do a bit of storytelling. Before I talk about what I'm actually doing here in the painting process, I just want to let you know that I only use the airbrush for two stages, and that is to base coat everything in purple and then to apply some layers to the squig. After that it is all brushwork, so please stick around even if you don't have an airbrush. As some of you may know, I always paint my orc skin with a purple undertone, and as such I have base coated the whole miniature in purple, and then I start to build up some shades of red through Mephiston red, through Trollslayer orange, and then a little bit of yellow in the mix just to apply some highlights and stuff on the squig from above. Once I'm happy with the tones that I've laid down with an airbrush, I decide to mix the original colours of Mephiston red and Trollslayer orange on my wet palette. Even though I have applied these colours through my airbrush, it can come out a little thin, and so I use a brush to help pick out the details on the face and really make this colour pop, as it will have a higher saturation when applied with a brush. I then move on to applying a purple again on the gums and tongue of the squig. I then mix a little bit of magenta into this purple colour and start to highlight the ridges on the gums and any moulding on the tongue as well. When it comes to painting the teeth, I base coat everything in scrag brown, and then layer by layer I mix in more bone colour till I get to a point that I'm happy with, and always highlight near the tips of the teeth. If you have watched any of my videos on how to paint orc skin, you'll be familiar with this setup. We're using purple and then different shades of green, making sure to mix in between each colour, applying a second layer so that we can have a smooth transition from darkest to lightest. And we are starting with a mix of the purple and wild flesh, and we're going to be doing this on the tops of the muscles. Always make sure to be applying your paint to the highest point of the muscles so that it looks like it organically links to the one above it. And then I'm going to be using wild flesh by itself, and then we're going to be mixing wild flesh and Elysian green, then it's Elysian green by itself, Elysian green and moot green, then it's moot green by itself, followed by moot green and ice yellow, and then very select highlights with ice yellow mainly on the face. By using so many different colours and mixing them in between each one, we get a lovely transition from a deep purple in all the recesses to a vibrant green at the top areas. If you would like to see how I paint orc skin in a little bit more detail, I will throw a card up in the corner of the screen right about now that will link to the video in which I focus on this specifically. I would also like to point out that I paint the orc's teeth and tongue in the exact same way that I painted the squigs. As they both derive from the same species of mushroom, it makes sense that some parts would just look the same. So this isn't actually filmed, but I just thought I'd let you know anyway. Now, when it came to painting the silvers on the weaponry, I wanted to try a technique that I had used in one of my recent videos, which was dry brushing NMM. And this is done by applying a coat of deep sea blue all over the silver areas, then dry brushing a mix of that and Fenrisian grey, then Fenrisian grey by itself, followed by a white, making sure that you're leaving the recesses that darkest dark sea blue from the beginning. It's this high contrast between that dark sea blue and the white that really sells the effect. Now I start to apply all the colours that are specific to my clan, and that is purple and orange. When applying these, I basically just use it on the areas that are painted either black or yellow on the box art, making sure that the purple is in all the black areas and orange is where the yellow would be. And obviously, depending on what Orc clan you play, you can do the same thing, switching out the colours that are on the box art for your clan specific colours. Next up, all of the leather areas were base coated in Mournfang Brown, and this includes the leather straps on the hammer, the boots and the belt. Now, taking a leaf out of the Space Marine book, this Orc is adorned with a beautiful cape, and to base coat that I use Xandri dust on the underside that is up against his back, and then a plain black colour on the outside. Next I began to wash all the areas such as the leathers and the purples and oranges, and to keep it simple I just used Agrax Earthshade, and once that was dried I started to edge highlight the oranges and purples. I did this by using Towelite Ochre through to a bone colour on the oranges, and then on the purples I used the original purple and Genestealer purple, and for the leathers I just used Mournfang Brown with a little bit of bone colour mixed in. On some areas of the weapons I wanted to have a glowing effect, and to do this I watered down some white ink and started to drag that into the recesses that I wanted to glow. I then thinned down a really light blue paint, I believe it was Lawthern Blue, and I did the same application, just dragging it into those recesses, and it starts to tint the white that we had applied underneath. As daunting as freehanding might seem, doing the flames on the cape was actually fairly simple. I used Xandri dust as it applies better to black than a straight orange would, and just started to sketch out some flame shapes. Once I had a shape that I was happy with, I came back with Trollslayer orange again and just went over all the Xandri dust that I applied beforehand. After this, it was just a matter of cleaning up some areas such as wires and the weird little cloth or hair thing on his banner pole and any of the dangling teeth. Just those little details that don't really need any instruction, and we were done. Thank you for watching to the end of the video. I hope that you like this model as much as I do, and I'm pretty glad that he's going to be joining the ranks of my war bosses for my Orc army. If you like what you see on this channel, please consider giving this video a likes up and potentially sending it to a nerd friend, or maybe even subscribing. And until next time, I'll see you later.